Hello, Freaking Mind here, aka Max. So I've been getting some questions regarding like the hidden details and kind of like I wanted to make it a fun, interactive experience in terms of like listeners who are interested. They can kind of dive into the cover art and try to figure out what's going on. So I kind of posted that thing with the different circles before, but I figured I would go a little bit more in depth so people can kind of see what I'm talking about and like kind of work that goes into it and kind of like what to look for. So I figured I would play it very quietly in the background and then kind of show you guys I have a better file. It's really hard to get the right resolution because all the cover arts are generally 4K, but like when I upload it to like Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook, it's not going to keep that type of resolution, which makes it hard when you want to like really scroll in and see some of those details there. So let's start with the eye. So Donnie Darko, if you've seen it, is kind of like a really big theme in this cover art. So that eye is Frank's eye. When Donnie Darko sees Frank in the mirror and he kind of like jabs his eye with the knife, I kind of put that in there, kind of like being a reflected self. The whole song is kind of about like being delusional and having delusions, so trying to figure out what's going on and it's not really clear, which was kind of like why there's that underlying "am I crazy?" Constantly trying to figure out if I'm crazy or not. So so I threw that eye in there from Donnie Darko, and you'll also notice that this was kind of going to be like kind of the origin of the setting, So it was going to try to look like this this room that Donnie Darko was in that scene. But in order to incorporate all of those different like hidden details in there, I'm not going to be able to really keep that two-dimensional, kind of become more of a three-dimensional cover art. So you're also going to see that for some reason I'm holding a knife up to my head, right? Well, at least there's hair there, so it looks like I'm cutting my hair, which was the point. So in the lyrics, I say, people call me freak, but this much is aware to me. So wear it like it cut my hair for me and did it terribly. This is an analogy. So first off, that knife kind of comes from, Donnie kind of like trying to stab Frank in the eye, right? So that's there. And then obviously the eye thing I just talked about. And then where that the hair kind of comes into that is that, I cut my hair for me and did it terribly. It's kind of like an analogy, like the name Freaking Mind, you're a freak. So like embracing that. So intentionally cutting your hair terribly is kind of like calling your artist name Freaking Mind, like freak. So that's that. And then you can see, so originally I thought that it would be cool, like the towel in the background here, that might be cool to be like the straitjacket, right? But I had other things I wanted to incorporate in here, so I ended up asking my graphic designer to put the cover art here in the corner of the straitjacket. So the next part we'll talk about is this blue handprint, which is confusing. It doesn't really give you too much to lead in to understand what that is, which sometimes I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of leave it ambiguous. So here you can see, the scene where Donnie Darko is still in that main scene with Frank. He puts his hand out trying to touch Frank. So you'll notice here that like, is this my left hand touching here, or is this my right hand from the outside of the cover art? It's supposed to not be clear. Kind of goes hand in hand with the whole delusion. It's meant to be confusing to whether or not like which thought process is delusional. Is he in his room? Is he in like a psych ward thinking he's in his room? It's not clear kind of where that whole staple in the background comes from of like crazy, am I crazy? Constantly trying to figure it out. Another part of it. So this is one of those things where it's kind of unfortunate that the resolution doesn't come right through in like a lot of social media, because this whole spectrum from Donnie Darko, if you notice and you scroll in here, you're going to see that is the fear and love spectrum, kind of taken from there. And it was supposed to kind of come along with like the picture in the in the scene, but you're not really going to be able to put that together considering the whole layout of the room has changed. But it was the original intention. You're also going to notice that I'm also over here, which is a pretty crazy party trick. So this is supposed to, you'll notice in part of this song I say like, you see the doctor seems like he's at Cunningham. Well, in Donnie Darko, Cunningham was like a total fraud, right? Everything about him was fake, but everybody believed him about stuff. So this isn't about me being believed by other people. This is more about like, self-deception. So like how much of what am I thinking is like actually crazy versus not crazy, right? So it's kind of like, that's why they're both me. It's trying to figure out which part of the thought process is delusional. Then there you see Find Me. So one of my songs from a while ago, which I actually did years ago, was a song called Find Me, which kind of had the staple in the chorus in there. You know, I got six senses. So
I'm a freak.
so that the meaning of that is the meaning of that is I got six senses is, you know, like in the movie The Sixth Sense, you're gonna see how you know, he has another sense where he can sense dead people. But the idea in the song kind of playing off of that is like, you know, I can sense things, you know, in the song that here where it is. So the description in Find Me said, trying to figure out whether the things he notices and thoughts he has are forces beyond our understanding at work or just nonsense psychosis. You know, it's like, is something communicating to him, or is he just completely losing his mind, you know, and connecting dots that aren't there? So like, just like kind of the breadcrumbs that you'll see here is when I say at the end of it, found breadcrumbs in the dining room section, right? So it's kind of like a play off of like Hansel and Gretel, where it's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs to like find something versus, you know, where would you expect to find breadcrumbs in the dining room, which is kind of playing off the whole idea, like, you know, is it meant to be there? Is something communicating, or is it just entirely like nonsense and connecting dots that aren't there? You know, you also see that like Aristotle is in here, and if you look really closely, you can see that that's actually a nickel and a penny kind of coming with the sixth sense, right? So here, and then kind of how that all ties together, as you can say. I'll just read this real quick. Follow the aristocratic rabbit from the song Find Me. This is referencing the white rabbit in the Matrix, the philosopher Aristotle, and the sixth sense again. A main philosophy of Aristotle was the idea that we are all stuck in endless caves of non-enlightenment and need to find our way out. The element of the Matrix, follow the white rabbits, was bridging the idea of enlightenment and getting out of the cave. It is also a play on words. Aristocratic means wealthy, referencing again the sixth sense. You know, sixth sense in Aristotle's eyes, and like in the movie The Sixth Sense. The quote is a staple of the course, and Find Me is a comparison. I just already kind of walked through that, so it's just trying to tie all those different things together, which is a lot of something, you know, that I like to do in the cover art. And yeah, if you notice here too, you're going to see that not only do I have the breadcrumbs, but you know, you always got to tie the matrix in there somehow. So you can see that that is the blue pill from the matrix. And unfortunately, this didn't come through that well, but you can see that that is also Morpheus's hand with the blue pill on that. And the idea was kind of like in terms of like the whole Cunningham, in terms of delusion yourself, but it seems so, you know, it seems so real. Is the designation was supposed to say liar. The hospital name was Intermountain. Once I stayed at a hospital called Intermountain, which is not something I remembered that I was going to mention here, but whatever. Whatever you want to do with that information, have a blast. Conscious Contact was going to be the logo. You know, Conscious Contact kind of came from like in the song From the Grave. You know, my friend kind of reached out to me after he passed away, and it seemed like it was kind of like a conscious contact with like a spirit. So I thought that would be a really cool label name, especially because, you know, like conscious contact with the audience to kind of like play into that whole interactive role. It just seemed like it had multiple layers of meaning, which is something that appeals. It's also pretty cool is that the whole outfit I was not even wearing at all. Like you can see, this is where the picture was taken, and like the graphic designer actually dressed me up in that entirely, which is pretty awesome. So is there anything else I want to cover really quick? I think that is it. Definitely more than for the most part. So, oh, another thing here that you're going to see is, so the Freak of Mind stamp here. So sometimes you're going to notice that I just have my Freak of Mind like fonts, and sometimes I put like this whole seal in here, and the seal comes from whenever I'm like super proud of like an artwork, or you know, pushed myself out of my comfort zone, or you know, something like that was a sentimental song for me for some reason, I'm going to put the stamp on it. Otherwise, it's going to get the font. You know, hopefully you like both of them, but the stamp ones are meant to be like extra kind of special, meaningful, or like hitting new milestones. So that's kind of into crazy. The last thing I kind of want to talk about is I'm putting together a website called freakingmind.com right here, and in freakingmind.com you're going to be able to you know, find all the different songs. You know, they're not all uploaded here, but it kind of gives like a whole mission statement, which probably nobody's going to read, whatever. And then you're gonna see, like, if you click on the curtain, you know, you're gonna be able to pull up the song right there, and you're gonna be able to read, you know, kind of about what is the curtain about, like what does it mean, all that nonsense I say. So, and then, you know, spinning, you know, have different like takeoff and focused. One of the things, like if you notice in and take off. Oops, not really let me do that. You're gonna notice here, like sometimes you'll find things like there's a chainsaw noise out of kind of nowhere that's like hidden in the song. So you're gonna see that chainsaw there, and you're also gonna hear like when Sam says like cutthroat, you're gonna hear that slicing of the sword thing, or it's so hidden, but you can actually, if you look really closely at the chainsaw, you're gonna see that there's actually a samurai sword like right there, even though you didn't even. I mean, maybe you did see it or not, but you know, and that was a cool song, but I think it was kind of towards more of my regular style, so you can see that there's the regular font there. um, but yeah, there's a lot more music to come, and then if you want to find my music, you should be able to find it on every store. So like if you have Spotify, you can find it on every, just about every streaming service. It should be on, you know, like look, Apple Music, Freaking Mind, it's going to be on there. It should be everywhere. But yeah, if you want to just listen to it for free, you don't want to deal with setting up an account or anything like that, you know, sometimes SoundCloud will ask you if you want to set up an account, but you don't have to. And you can type it in the search menu here. If you want to be quick about it, you can just type in soundcloud.com/freak of mind. And then you will be able to find my page and find the cool background art that my friend Russ made for me. And you know, the staple profile picture of From the Grave, and then you can, you know, kind of find all these other songs and comment if you want to. I try to be really good about answering questions and comments. So yeah, that's a little bit into the cover art. Feel free to send any comments or questions, and yeah, thanks for checking it out.